But before we talk about his chances of running in 2024, what did you make of what he was saying? I mean, but the country's been brought to its knees and the Republicans can turn it around. Come on. I mean, it might be on its knees, but so is the rest of the world at the minute.
Well, Steve and Ann, thank you for having me. And I was listening to you as I was preparing to come on the show, and I heard you talking about partying, clubbing, that sort of thing. I just want you to know, I'm 48. It's 10:20 in the evening here in California, and I'm up with you guys clubbing it. I'm at your breakfast club, so I'm just glad to be here.
Wouldn't be doing it if I were you. But thank you for staying up way past bedtime to talk to us. But seriously, though, what do you make about what former President Trump had to say?
Yeah, I think it's a pretty simple example. It's probably a lot. I was actually in the UK last week. We opened up True Social there, a new social networking site that's taken off here in the United States. And what you find is in the city-states, much like London, let's take New York City, Washington, D.C., Chicago. They're very left-wing, extreme left-wing. Once you get to the outer rings, you see that people don't like what's happening inside of those city-states. So it's really kind of socialist turns city-states with the rest of America. And so what you see on the news in America, what you read in the papers is not reality. And I can take you can drop into any city, any town outside of those big cities, and you are going to see Trump 2024 signs. And you are going to see people who are extremely ticked off, whether it's the botched withdrawal from Afghanistan from the Biden administration, whether it's the way that we're dealing with China right now, where the Biden administration is talking about reducing tariffs. And I can go on, and we can talk about it all morning. But I think in general, President Trump represents the feelings of the American people once you get outside of these big cities in the United States of America.
President Trump clearly thinks that the Republicans are the ones who can fix some of the issues you've just laid out there. Why isn't he a bit more direct about whether he is or isn't going to run himself?
Well, look, I can't answer that. I mean, the one thing about President Trump is that he is a very unconventional candidate. If you remember when he started to run in 2015, all through 2016, nobody gave him a chance. They said, oh, this is like a movie star guy. He's not serious. And at that point, he was very, very popular in Hollywood. He had a square, a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Everybody loved him, but nobody actually took him seriously. But look, deep in his bones, he believes in something that's very serious, and that is that the United States of America and our allies are very susceptible to what China and our other adversaries are doing. They're taking over the entire economy of the globe. And in fact, I'd like to remind my European friends, it was President Trump who went into under much scrutiny, and he was hammered for it, attacked for it in Europe and around the globe and by the media here in the United States. He was attacked for going in and telling the Germans and the rest of Europe, what the hell are you doing putting in new pipelines to bring gas from Russia? You guys better get fossil fuels on your own. You better keep your nuclear power plants open. You better look at alternative energy. You better look at bringing gas from other parts of the world. He said that. And now Europe's on its knees. And I think you are. And I was just there in London. You guys are in better shape, I think, largely because you've separated yourselves from some of the nuttiness that's occurring in the European Union right now. And he also said something that's very simple. The United States was carrying the load for NATO. You had some countries that were paying less than 1% of their budget. He said, look, you guys need to beef up your military. The threats are still real. They're still out there. So that, I think, is the reality that's happening in Europe. President Trump was right about that. And if he came on your show, he would tell you exactly the same thing that I'm saying now.
Tell you what the problem is for a lot of people, I mean, as we observe it over here, is that whatever good things he may have done, and there's bound to be some, it gets overshadowed by the fact that he has been such a divisive character. I mean, not just the way he is perceived himself, but the way he has divided the United States. He's set people against each other. Now, how is that helpful in any way, shape or form?
Yeah, I don't think that is the case. In fact, he was completely nuked from every single social media site in the world. His accounts were completely annihilated. He had no way to communicate. So this is a fact of the media that's owned by the left in the United States and the social media companies who create false narratives, and then they run it through social media so that it ends up into your phones. And so what you see in Europe, and I don't blame you, I'm not faulting what you're saying, and I believe that you probably believe that. But that's not what's happening in reality. What President Trump did is he kind of ripped the Band-Aid off of what many Americans were feeling, and that was that socialism was taking root in these city-states. You had the Democratic Republic failing. I mean, look, I was the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee for many years. I served in Congress for 20 years. I left Congress to go and start a social media company with President Trump precisely for this reason, because we couldn't even communicate, forget about with the rest of the world, we couldn't even communicate with one another. And I think that's the thing that you have to look for. You have to see through the fog and then see reality. And what happened is that the left turned the government against President Trump and the Republican Party with, I don't know if you guys, how much you covered this in the United States, but we went through this whole Russia hoax, Russia gate, whatever you want to call it, where the intelligence agencies of the United States of America and the Department of Justice investigated the Republican Party and President Trump for colluding with Russia. And including, you had the United Kingdom was also involved in this too, with a former spy that defamed and slandered and sent this over to the United States, garbage about President Trump and prostitution in Europe and all of this total nonsense. So nothing you've seen for the last 5 or 6 years is based in reality. And, that's why, we have Truth Social that we open in the UK first, because we believe you're the country of the Magna Carta. We believe that you're the place of free speech. We believe that you believe in that like we do also. And look, I think that we have a long way to go. This is a dark chapter of American history. And I think things do look a little gloomy around the world. But look, I'm optimistic because, look, I'm up partying with you guys at 10:30 at night in California at your breakfast club.